Hey everybody, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to show you something that I'm pretty excited about. And basically what this is it's a relatively small and easy to install part that makes a pretty, significant difference in the handling characteristics of the Model Y and the Model 3. And so it actually goes in the front compression rod arm on the front subframe of the 3 and Y. And basically what that arm is there to do is prevent deflection mostly forward and backward. So you have the lateral link that kind of goes across like this, and then you have the compression arm that goes back into the kind of rear of the car. So what these are the Mountain Pass Performance inserts that go into the compression rod bushing. And so basically what they do is they limit the amount of travel that bushing can kind of articulate in. And the improvement that we're going to get here is pretty much a lot less deflection and therefore a lot less changes in the toe under heavy loads. So when you're either braking hard or even accelerating hard to a degree, you're going to get some deflection in that bushing. And what's going to happen is that as the whole suspension moves forward and backward, you're going to get changes in toe. And so what these do is these basically limit a pretty large degree of that movement. And again, they're small, they're simple, easy to install. Just like a quick upgrade makes a big difference. Alright, so I've got a factory compression rod arm right here. And so basically what these little inserts do is they're going to fill these voids in the bushing here. So what we'll do is we'll basically slip them into place, and that's going to allow the bushing to deflect quite a bit less, while also retaining kind of the OEM characteristics with regards to NVH. And if for whatever reason you ever had an issue with this bushing, you could just pull these out and they hopefully warranty it for you. So there's a couple of reasons why you would go with these over the spherical bushing that we also offer. So let's go ahead and get these installed. Again, it's pretty quick, simple install, but it's good to show you exactly how to do it. And we'll see what kind of changes we see. All right, so first things first, let's get the car up in the air. We're gonna put it up here on our 2-post lift. However, it is possible to do this job, on jack stands. Just obviously be careful. Don't ever want the car to fall on you. And it's a little tight to do just a foot or two off the ground. So ideally, if you have a lift, that is the way to go. But again, if you need to, jack and jack stands does work. All right, next let's go ahead and get the wheels off, only on the front axle. Alright, next we're going to want to take down this front arrow shield. So basically we've got a number of 10mm bolts holding it in, and then we've got two 15mm nuts on the back here. So let's get those up. One thing I would mention, just be careful of these two center ones. Due to the amount of Loctite that Tesla uses, it is possible for these to basically strip out on the front valence side. So rather than using an impact, if you're having trouble, it's probably a good idea to use something that is more of like a hand tool. It'll more likely to come out without any damage. Okay, so now that we've got the front arrow shield off the car, we can focus on this compression rod arm. So basically we've got a 21mm bolt and nut right here. So bolt on this side, nuts right up on the top here. So what we're going to do is we're going to spin that off. Alright, there's your nut and bolt. Alright, so now that we've got the nut and bolt out of the subframe side, we're going to want to take off this 22mm nut on the knuckle. So the easiest way to do this is with a 22mm wrench and a T45 Torx. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to tighten the Torx after we kind of initially break this nut free. And by tightening the Torx on the arm, it's going to release the nut. So keep in mind this is you're basically going reverse what would, normally make sense. All right, so it's easiest to just use a 22 to break it free. Take your T45. Again, tighten. 22 millimeter wrench to hold it. Alright, there's your nut, arm's released. And so at this point what we'll be able to do is slide the arm out. I find it easiest to use a little pry bar, maybe even a big flathead screwdriver. You just basically want to kind of expand the subframe so that you can slip the bushing out. So, pretty easy. Alright, there's your arm. So let's go ahead and we will get the inserts installed. Alright, now it's time to go ahead and get our inserts installed. So one thing that's important to note is that you should have the ball joint stud facing down. When it's installed in the car, this is basically how it's oriented. And we're going to be pushing in these guys from the top. So just keep that in mind. Alright, so you're going to want something to basically lubricate or aid in the installation process. So you can use something such as soapy water, or if you have a lubricant on hand, that works as well. So I'm going to go ahead here and apply some gel lube. Alright, and so what we're going to do is we're basically just going to take this and we're going to just push it right in. And so if you're having any trouble, it doesn't hurt to take your favorite lucky rubber mallet. Just give it a couple good thuds. Alright, and that side is installed. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Alright, and so that's basically it. And as you can see, what was previously basically holes is now kind of a filled cavity, and that's going to help reduce the amount of deflection in the bushing, pretty significantly. Alright, so that is pretty much it. As you can see, it's a fairly straightforward installation. Nothing crazy or wild going on here. And so the installation is pretty much just the reverse of removal. We're going to pretty much get our ball joint over here in the knuckle, get the bushing slid back into the subframe. Let's get it back in. And so typically I like to get the bolts and nuts started, by hand just before we torque everything down. Alright, now that we've got all the nuts and bolts started, we can go ahead and torque them. Alright, so we're going to torque our 21mm nut and bolt to 115 Newton meters, and we're going to torque the 22mm nut over here on the knuckle to 180 Newton meters. And so I'll typically get these bolts and nuts started using some power tools until they're kind of snug, and then torque them as my final step. Alright, well, that's how you install the inserts. So, as you saw, it's really nothing too crazy. Pretty much get the car up on the lift, take off your front wheels, remove the arrow shield, remove our 21mm nut and bolt, remove our 22 from the knuckle, slide the arm out. We'll press the inserts in. Again, you can use a rubber mallet and some lubrication to help get them in there. Come back to it. We'll torque our 21mm to 115 Newton meters. We'll torque our 22mm nut to 180 Newton meters. And do the other side. Get the arrow shield back on, wheels back on, and you're good to roll. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. I think this is a great, super simple part that really just improves the front end dynamics of the car. It's relatively inexpensive, and you know, if you don't want to take it to that next level of a spherical bearing, it's kind of a good middle ground where you're not going to add any NVH, but you are going to get a nice upgrade. So I'll see you guys next time.